Hello, Marty here, back again today to talk about abuse. Is it ever acceptable? Some even try to justify it. So today I'd like to talk about 4 ways abuse is sometimes tolerated and even justified. If this is your first time here, I'm Marty. I welcome you. Here I have real talk on the root causes as to why we choose toxic or dysfunctional relationships. Because like I always say, we can talk about that other person all day long, but at the end of the day, we chose that relationship. So let's start with number 1. Number 1 is anger. Have you ever heard someone say, oh, well, they were angry. I made them angry. So, it was my fault, that they lashed out or verbally or physically because I made them angry. Now, let's think about that for a moment. Let's talk about self-control. If that person cannot control themselves to where they have to strike out at you, that is not your issue, no matter what you said or did. They have an issue controlling themselves. And also, if we look at the word in Proverbs 22, verse 23, it tells us that an angry man can be a snare. An angry spirit, because that's what it is, can be a snare to your soul. And it even says to walk away and don't associate with such people. So we need to look at that. It's not our fault if someone, because they're angry, strikes out at us. That is not something we need to tolerate or endure. Again, if we can make someone angry, right? But when they lash out and strike at us, that is something way beyond anything we said or did. That has to do with self-control, and an angry spirit. They need help with that. That is not your fault. That's number 1. Number 2, oh, they had a bad childhood. So that's why, well, granted, what we see as children can influence us, but again, that is something they need to get help with. That is something that does not justify abuse by any means, any way, shape, or form. That is again an issue that they have, that now they've lashed out and hurt you. And again, that is not justifiable. If you have that issue to where you saw dysfunctional or physically abusive relationships modeled to you as a child, you need to get help with that. That is not a justification to strike out on any or hit anyone, and be abusive. Number 3, let's talk about the church. Let's talk about your church. A lot of times people will say, oh, I went to my pastor and he said that I should stay, even though the person was abusive. And yeah, I'm going to say it. No, that's off. For that man or that woman of God to tell you that you should stay in an abusive relationship, because that can lead to your death, right? That is not something we need to tolerate in the name of Jesus. That is not something that the Lord wants us to tolerate. I know, because I was in a relationship, a marriage, for a long time. And had I stayed there, I might not be here. So yeah, that is not a justifiable reason to stay and endure abuse. Number 4 is, let me look at my notes, because yes, I forgot. Number 4, the big one that I told you about, is love. They hit me, but I love them. They hit me, but I know that they wouldn't, if they didn't care, they wouldn't even bother to. And I know it sounds crazy, but I heard this message even in my family about abuse and jealousy. Oh, well, they love you. Because, if you're jealous or possessive, or, if you're abusive like that, well, they must love you. Miss me with that. Don't love me like that. So again, let's look at the definition of love. The word says that love is kind, love is patient. Love is not abusive. So let's again think about that. And look at your definition of what love is. Love is not abuse. Love does not hurt you in a physical or even verbal way. That is not something we need to accept or endure. That is just not something we need to tolerate. And again, many times people will justify abuse by through these 4 ways, and they'll tell you, oh no, he did that, but I know he really loves me. Or she. Come on, brothers, let me know. Men can be abusive. Women rather can be abusive too. I've heard of some pretty vicious women So yeah, that is not love. Someone who loves you is not going to hurt you like that. So yeah, no, let's get rid of the excuses or these red flags even, because we see these things and we try to justify it. Oh no, and then next thing you know, we're not here anymore. That's real talk. And if anyone out there is struggling with domestic violence, I encourage you to seek help. Whether you're female or a man, either way, again, it can be women and men can be abusive. But let me know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe. Here I have real talk on how we choose these dysfunctional relationships, because many times we ignore the red flags or we try to justify it. So just keep that in mind. Abuse is never justified. Let me know what you think. This is Mari. Until next time, God bless.